न जानामि योगं जपं नैव पूजां नतोऽहं सदा सर्वदा शम्भुतुभ्यं जराजन्म दुःखोऽगतातप्यमानं प्रभो पाहि आपन्नमामीश शम्भो।
A warm welcome to all the devotees on Raksha Sutra English. We are going to narrate wonderful holy stories to all the devotees from the book Miracles of Love by Ramdas Ji, an exclusive devotee of Maharaj Ji. Please listen carefully, all the devotees. When Maharaj Ji spoke about diet, he generally ignored the nutrition issues that so concerned some of us, but he did suggest that we eat simple foods, and he also advised us to eat food that was indigenous to the area in which we were living. And then to various devotees he gave specific instructions about diet, advising one to forego wine, meat, eggs, hot spices, because they lead to an impure heart. Yet to another he said, "What is this concern with what is meat and what is not? When you can live without meat, well and good. When you cannot live without it, then you should have it." Some he counseled to eat alone, silently, simply, or with a few people. To others, his instructions concerned the value of fasts 3 times a month. Although when you were around him, he interrupted any fast you might attempt. From this confusion of instructions, most of us came away with the feeling that he was counseling us to trust our intuitions rather than get too caught in rules. At least that's what we wanted to hear, because he fed us all so uninstinctively with love and attention, as well as food. We sought ways to reciprocate. Yet his life was so simple that there was nothing to give, so most people brought flowers or food, especially fruits and sweets. These he would then distribute by his own hand, or touch the food and then have it distributed. Such touching or blessing by such a being as Maharaj Ji converted the food vibrationally from a physical material into prasad. In the absence of the physical form of such a being as Maharaj Ji, food is offered in the heart and the mind of the devotee before partaking. If food is offered purely, the beings to which it is offered accept an essence from the food. Then we eat what is left, which has become prasad. In the West, this would be similar to our saying grace before eating. Maharaj Ji also showed a continuous concern for the quality of the food that was being distributed from the kitchens at the temple. He would call the cooks and examine the food. If it was poorly made, he would yell, and it was unnecessary, extravagant, he would yell. When I was living up on the hill in that little kuti means hut, Maharaj Ji would send me away with a box of food every evening. But when he gave it to me, he always checked the entire box, putting his hands all through it. Maharaj Ji would tell the mothers that the vibrations with which food was cooked could definitely affect your state of mind. He would say that if you truly made your food prasad, it would purify you. But even a very pure man, if he ate food that was prepared without proper consciousness, that food would create confusion in his mind. He said that eating purely prepared food made a yogi great. At the market, I bought some clusters of green berries to give to Maharaj Ji. They were kind of dirty, so I very carefully washed them. Then I put them back into the bag. But you know how it is with Indian bags. I broke and the berries fell all over the ground, so I carefully washed them again, berry by berry. It took a long time. Finally, I brought them to Maharaj Ji. Everybody else, of course, had also brought fruits. But the minute I put them down, Maharaj Ji appeared very excited. He spread them all out very carefully, studied them, ate many of them himself, and distributed the rest as something particularly precious. I felt that he sensed the love and care with which I had prepared the berries. For some time, Maharaj Ji would eat only the food prepared by one particular Ma. She told me that if one day she was too busy and someone had helped her with it, he would refuse to eat it. She said that she would sometimes lie to him just so he would eat the food. She would say that she had cooked the food by herself without help. Still, he would push it away. He seemed to be able to feel the difference. My Brahmin grandfather took his food alone, as was the tradition. The food was specially prepared for him by my wife. He had started to eat when Maharaj Ji arrived, so father ordered more food prepared. My wife wanted to give Maharaj Ji a special item of food that she had made for grandfather, so she gave some to Maharaj Ji. Father got angry. How can you give Maharaj Ji other than freshly prepared food? He asked my wife. Then Maharaj Ji called him and said, the freshly prepared food was eaten by the sadhu. The special food offered out of such pure love was eaten by God. Most of the time, Maharaj Ji ate alone and distributed all that we devotees brought to him, but it was each person's dearest desire, when we brought the fruit or other food, that Maharaj Ji eat some of it himself, and when he did, it felt like such a precious moment, one in which Maharaj Ji had accepted a token of your love. Once when I brought a soft apple and peeled it and cut it up and held it up before him as I had seen the Indians do, he reached down and took a few pieces from my hand, and I experienced that ecstasy you might feel if a wild bird or deer had come and eaten out of your hand. Ram Das. Living in the ashram at Kainchi, I seldom had the opportunity to busy anything to offer Maharaj Ji. Somehow I obtained a pomegranate one day. I waited until late afternoon when Maharaj Ji would walk to the back and give darshan outdoors in front of the showers. Only a few ashram guests, along with an occasional VIP or a villager coming on business, would be present for darshan after the last bus had left. It was an intimate hour which glows in my memory like the setting sun on the hilltops across the valley. I was removing seeds from the pomegranate and offering them to him. He would eat a few and hand out a few, and once they were sold, I would give him a few more. As I was running out, an Indian matron passed her handful of jewel-like seeds under the tucket to me, so that I would have more to pour into his hand. By the time these were gone, she had a few more for me. This continued in a very casual manner. We all, Maharaj Ji included, acted as if nothing unusual were going on under the tucket. She obviously enjoyed as much as I to see Maharaj Ji accept and eat our offering and to play this truly delightful game with him. I purchased a dozen oranges to take to Maharaj Ji. We arrived at the tiny temple where Maharaj Ji was visiting and where many Indian devotees already had gathered and were crammed into his room. As soon as our presence was made known, we were pushed to the space just in front of the wooden table on which Maharaj Ji sat. I offered the oranges to him. There was already much fruit and some sweets on the table. But then something happened that surprised me. Maharaj Ji started to go at my oranges as if he had never seen food before. As each orange was opened, he would grab it and eat it very rapidly, and before my eyes he consumed 8 oranges. I was being fed the other 4 at Maharaj Ji's insistence by the school principal. Later I asked KK, a close Indian friend, about his peculiar behavior. KK explained that Maharaj Ji was taking on karma from me and that this was a technique by which he often did that. Take chai section is long, so further story will be narrated to all the devotees in next episode. To listen the wonderful holy stories of Maharaj Ji, please like, share, subscribe the channel and don't forget to ring the bell icon. Write in the comment box, Jai Neem Karoli Baba Ji Maharaj.